Hello and a very warm welcome to another edition of Talking Germany, the show where we do just that. And my guest today is one of Germany's leading novelists. And here he is in person, Bodo Kirchhoff. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. And I'm going to explain straight up why you're wearing your glasses, the sunglasses today. It's because you've had a little bit of a problem with your eyes. You agreed to come along, for which we're very, very grateful. And I tell you, folks, it's going to be a good show. Bodo Kirchhoff has written a dozen or so novels, and I hasten to add much more besides. He's won many prizes, and he's been at the forefront of German writing for about 3 decades. His latest work, which we'll be talking about in detail, has been viewed by many critics as his very best. I, for one, and I'm putting my cards right on the table here, I thought it was magnificent. Bodo Kirchhoff, yeah? Praise for your first novel, for your latest novel there. How much time, when you're writing a novel like the one you have just written, how much time do you spend thinking about people like me, about your readers?
You mean when I'm writing?
When you're writing.
When I write a book, I never thought about the readers.
You don't think about them?
No. I am my own reader. And I think, how would I feel when I read this book?
Yeah.
And would it bother me? Would I love it? Would I have a reason to continue?
Yeah.
Or would I have a reason to
put it aside?
To put it aside. Yeah. And the other one is my wife.
Yeah.
I imagine, what will my wife think about that?
Yeah.
And after I've written, let's say, 2 or 3 copies, this book has 7 copies. After the 3rd copy, I gave it to my wife, and she said to me, "It's terrible. It's not strong enough. It's not. It doesn't hurt."
It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
And did you change it radically after that?
Well, there was one big mistake in the beginning. I wrote it in the first person,
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. And I know to write it in the 3rd person, to be really the storyteller, it's much more work. It's more difficult, much more difficult. And then I tried that, and then step by step it worked.
The reason I asked the first question about the reader sitting at home is you gave us an awful lot of work to do this time, a novel of nearly 700 pages. How tough was it to write those 700 pages?
Well, in the beginning it wasn't, because I had no plan to make a book of these seas. I never have a master plan when I start with a book. The only thing I knew was it will be a book dealing with marriage and dealing with a long relationship between 2 people and dealing with love in the different aspects of love. There's a love between man and an animal, a dog. There's a love between 2 people, man and women, are married. Yeah, there's the love to a lover and to a female lover and to a male lover. There's friendship in this book. So these different aspects of love, I know that this will be the most important point of this book. So when I tried to do that, to write that, it was in the beginning 100 pages, then it became 200, 300. And so it comes from copy to copy. The book was longer. In the 6th copy, it was 900 pages, and then I shortened it.
OK. That is an absolutely, thank you for that. A really wonderful summary of what Bodo Kirchhoff's latest novel is all about. You've had your first impressions from the man and the writer. Here is more.
Bodo Kirchhoff doesn't write pulp fiction, even if Schundroman, one of his many books, bears a title meaning just that. In fact, in 2008, he was awarded the prestigious Karl Zuckmayer Medal.
I find every award disconcerting at first.
Now 64, Bodo Kirchhoff has won a number of them, even if, as in this case, they don't bring him money, just the medal and a cask of wine. Other Karl Zuckmayer Medal winners include singer-songwriter Udo Lindenberg and actor Mario Adorf. The medal is awarded for services to the German language.
I can relate to the idea of awarding a prize for services to the language, because that's what I care about as well.
Bodo Kirchhoff has lived and worked in the Frankfurt district of Sachsenhausen and by Lake Garda in Italy for more than 30 years. The father of two now grown-up children, he withdraws to his high-rise apartment to write. This is where he develops his subjects and stories.
There's no other art form in which you can experience so much about someone else's psyche than in the novel. But the novelist has to appreciate the value of that and communicate it to the reader.
Sometimes he deals with another person's pain, as in Eros and Ashes, written in 2007. In this deeply autobiographical friendship novel, as he calls it, Kirchhoff deals with the death from cancer of a close friend. It's perhaps his most personal book in his search for words for the unsayable.
The subject is a late friend and myself, but I'm still alive. It's about the survivor and the dead. That's the subject, and you have to find a language worthy of it.
At the beginning of his career, Kirchhoff was sometimes accused of being superficial and overly self-centered. Perhaps that was because of photographs like these, taken on one of his numerous trips as a war correspondent in the 1980s. After a year-long stay in the Philippines, he published the novel that brought him his breakthrough in Germany and has so far sold the most copies. Infanta became a bestseller and has been translated into 13 languages. The story of a love affair between a German photographer's model and his housemaid. The exotic setting was a puppet state that bore a strong resemblance to the Philippines under the regime of Ferdinand Marcos. Rarely has a German author written so atmospherically. Reviewers were as enthusiastic as readers.
I feel successful when I can live from my writing. Nothing else interests me.
Most of his books, such as his critically acclaimed Parlando from 2001, are too preoccupied with language to be mass-market bestsellers.
I belong to a generation that learned to exert power through language, especially through irony.
Know what you write, but feel it too. Otherwise, there's no truth in it. That's Kirchhoff's credo. Even so, he still makes excursions into television. He's written TV scripts and even presented his own literary chat show, though it was soon canceled because of low ratings. He dealt with his frustration by writing Schundroman, a satire about the media. Good novels, says Bodo Kirchhoff, are repositories of language, vital and alive. And today, he's our guest on Talking Germany, Bodo Kirchhoff.
Bodo Kirchhoff, very interesting in that report. We've seen various different phases of your life and your career. And I'd like to talk for a moment about how you became the person that you are. And to do so, I've got a quote that I thought was extremely interesting. You said, "My parents' fate was war. Ours," talking about your generation, "is banality." What did you mean?
Well, I'm grown up in a peaceful country, relatively peaceful, and I grew up with the beginning of the TV, of the TV time, the medias, and I traveled a lot I make some dangerous trips to war places and to countries with very poor people. And every time I came back, I saw we live in an area, we have a German expression for that, the Insel der Seligen, the island of...
People who are happy in an untroubled way.
That's right.
Maybe in a banal way, that's what you're saying.
And so people in our country often make themselves the problems, you know. The problems are most of the people, they have food, they have a home, they have one car, two car, they have, all right, my children, yeah, they have all these electronic stuff. So the biggest problem is maybe how can I get a good practicum? What it's going on with Facebook? Okay, so what will be the next better smartphone than I ever have?
I wonder if your children would be happy to hear you saying this. Let's talk about it. I mean, if you say there's banality in Germany...
the banality is that you need... I'm not forced to do... You know, I'm very free. I can say what I want. I can write whatever I want. I can travel. There's nobody who says to me, you have to do this, you have to think like that, you have to write this way. And so this is for me, I cannot tell that. It's always a rubber wall. You're
bouncing against. Yeah. You're bouncing against it, bouncing off it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think you're talking about? I think you're talking about how difficult it is for people to have real feelings in some ways. Let me just, while we were listening to that report...
Pardon me. I made a big experience when I was very young. I worked in the States at an ice cream cellar. And I sold the ice cream to kids, you know. So I sold in a Jewish quarter. The kids came to me and said to me, "How many Jewish people did your father kill?" And the other one, so I got an impression where I'm from. But that was not my situation. That was the situation in the mind of these kids, you know. And maybe the reason is that in the States, the problems are much more virulent than here. They have these race problems. They have still the problems with Jewish people there. Now they have the problems with Islamic people. We in Germany have... Today we have
problems with anti-Semitism. We have problems with our Muslim community, and so on and so forth.
Most of these problems are only in special areas. You know, if you can live in Germany in an area like me, I live, you are not connected with these problems.
Okay, point taken.
Only in the medias. I know them. I know many people. I know what the problems is. But if I say I close my door, I won't hear anything about that, I can do that.
Let's talk about your book, your big book, the 700-page book. You said to me while we were watching the last report, you said you want me to quote the first sentence to you. And you can tell me why that's so very important to what you were doing. The first sentence reads, and I'm translating ad hoc, "Yearning for love is the only serious illness with which one can grow old, even with another person." Why is that so important to you?
Well, after I've written 2 or 3 copies of the book, I once lay in my bed at nighttime, couldn't sleep, and I asked myself, what really is the point of that book? Of all these 100 pages, what's really important? And then I came to this sentence to say... How you translate
yearning. Yearning for love.
Yearning for love. You know, if you think about love, you will see that you either have a yearning for love or you have memories. But what is love in the present?
What's your definition? What is love in the present?
I think it's in the present. It is a kind of falling in love. or sex maybe, but I really don't know what it means. I sing.
That's not true.
Love.
You do know what it means.
You can't separate.
You know what it means because I've got a quote from you. Your quote is, it's a fascinating sentence that you wrote. You wrote, "The high point of love is its durability."
I just wanted to say that.
Got it.
I just wanted to say that. You can't separate love from time.
Yeah.
You can't separate love from time. So the high point is, as you said it,
The durability. That's
the durability.
We just need to speak about one more aspect, because it is a novel about men and women and about how they interrelate. And you said in an interview about the book, you said, I've got to get this absolutely right. You said, "I owe something to women." I owe something to women. Why do you owe something to women?
Well, I know women much better than I know men, you know. I had intimacy with women and not with men. And the other thing is, in the last 40 or 45 years, there only women came to me and said, "You have to change yourself. You can't do that. You can't think like that. You can't treat me like that." And I must think about myself.
Did you listen when they said that?
Listen,
Did you?
I listen. That does not mean that I did what they want.
But you listened.
To do, but I listened.
That's a start.
I always listened. And then the next said the same words. And then I came to the point to say to myself, not only one girlfriend or woman says this, not only two, three say the same thing. So maybe they are right, yeah? And I began to do something.
Good.
Yeah?
Good. And you wrote a good book about it, yeah?
And with a friend. I never had conversations like that.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about men? We're going to have to leave it. We might come back to it. We might come back to it, yeah? Let's move on a little bit. Writing books is one thing. Selling books is another. Bookshops can be wonderful places, but they are, of course, businesses too. Businesses that are these days under immense pressure.
A small bookshop in Wiesbaden, a hidden treasure trove. Few passers-by drop in here, but those who do are usually not disappointed.
There are only 2 good bookshops left in Wiesbaden, small ones that can also advise you. In the big ones, I wouldn't be surprised if I asked for something by Goethe, and a sales assistant said, "Who's that?"
Good advice and excellent books. That's been Peter Leucht's winning formula for the past 40 years, despite competition from the internet and large bookstores.
Our advantage is that we present ourselves differently. And that includes the way we look to outsiders, the face of my bookshop.
It's very different in the mass-market bookstores. Here, the usual bestsellers dominate. Eroticism with a touch of the literary. Or Harry Potter-like fantasy novels. A safe bet, you might think, but internet book sales and e-books are hitting the big bookstores hardest. So they're expanding their range of products.
Our customers can find anything they could wish for, such as extra gift items or treats for themselves. For instance, we sell utensils to go with cookbooks, or scented candles to suit a specific health book.
That's not going to appeal to literary purists, and precisely that fact may be a blessing for small booksellers. Because people who just want good books often feel much better served by their shops.
Bodo Kirchhoff, let's try some quick answers this time round, yeah? We're going to talk about books and bookshops. Do you have a favourite bookshop in Frankfurt?
Yes, it's how you say, antiquariat?
It's a place that sells antique books.
Yes, antique books. It's an old friend of me, and I came to this place 2 times a year, and I saw the wall with the books, and I picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and maybe 20, 30 books, and then I pay €50. And
you take them away?
Absolutely happy, beautiful books.
Good. I love bookshops. They can be very comforting places.
I don't need new books, you know.
You don't need new books?
No.
OK. Are you, as a writer, affected by the changes that are going on in the book trade?
Yes, I am.
How?
Really? Well, there are less readers than 20 or 30 years before.
Yeah.
Maybe half.
Yeah.
Half. And I think the electronic boom, the big electronic boom in every respect, is really it's the opposite of reading a book. You know, playing with your phone is the opposite of reading a book.
Yeah. Have you ever read an e-book?
No. I have seen that. I have seen that at the beach a couple of weeks before, and somebody told me, "Now I have 45% left," and I didn't understand that. So that was for me the end of my e-book career.
Do you order books on the internet?
Pardon me?
Do you order books on the internet?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you're a sinner. Okay. Yeah. I try to avoid it now.
Yeah. Now I bought books by Amazon. That's okay.
Oh dear. Yeah. Why do you write novels?
Well, I think the novel is the only way to learn about something, the strange or the other in the other people. In another one, there's something really strange and other, you know?
Yeah, the otherness.
The other one is not me, he is other.
Yeah.
And to understand it and to tell about this, the only way to bring that to other people is by a novel. Because you have enough space, you have enough time. It takes time. It's not enough to do that in 90 minutes. You cannot do that in a picture. You cannot do that in a small movie. You cannot do that in poems. I think you need a big novel for that.
I often say that from my point of view as a reader, a novel is a privileged form of communication because it really gives you a deeper conversation and understanding of that other person.
It is a privileged form of conversation, and it is a slowly form. Yeah, it's very slowly. And you write, let's say, 4 or 5 years, and then after a half a year or 1 year, you became the first answer back, the feedback.
Okay. One more question on the novels. Yeah? Can you teach people to write novels?
Yes.
Or how to write novels?
Not novels, but you can teach people to tell something, to be a storyteller, to tell a small a
slice.
Yeah, a slice. Maybe you come to a place and you meet an old friend. Yeah, you haven't seen him 40 years. What happened? To tell about this. Yeah, really to find words for this and not to bring that in cliches. Then that you can learn. I think so. Yeah.
So we're looking for something not general, but something very specific, and we're looking for something.
And to bring your own suffering in a language.
Yeah.
This is very important. To bring yourself in a language, but not to open everything. You need not open your heart, but you can bring the pain of your heart in a book, but you need not open your heart.
Something very different. For some time now, the Catholic Church here in Germany and elsewhere, of course, has been mired in allegations concerning sexual abuse of children by its clergy. The German Bishops' Conference ordered an external investigation, but that probe has now been called off. It's a decision that has been fiercely criticised by many of the victims.
Actor Miguel Abrantes was sexually abused as a child by a priest at his school. He thinks it's scandalous that the Roman Catholic Church in Germany has terminated its inquiry into alleged abuse in its institutions.
As long as nothing's out in the open, they have no credibility.
The abuse allegations have shaken Germany. Many cases were in Catholic institutions, where children and teenagers were thought to be in especially safe hands. Lawyer Thomas Pfister was a special prosecutor and has access to the files. He thinks the Catholic Church's argument that it wants to protect those wrongly suspected is a smokescreen.
Of course, a proper investigation always involves victims. Priests or other clergy who have done nothing wrong have nothing to fear. So I consider the protection argument hypocritical.
Canisius College in Berlin was one of the schools especially hard hit by reports of abuse. In the 1970s, it was the scene of repeated cases of sexual molestation. Headmaster Klaus Mattis played a major role in initiating the inquiry in 2010.
The investigation of sex abuse has to be conducted by independent outside agencies. That's the fundamental experience of all the institutions involved in the cases of abuse. But no investigation can take place if there's no internal willingness to give others access to information.
3 years ago, Ettal Abbey in Bavaria was also in the line of fire. Since then, steps have been taken to prevent sexual abuse in the future, and victims have been given compensation. It remains to be seen whether the German Bishops' Conference will attempt to launch a fresh inquiry. But there's dissatisfaction at the grassroots level. Rainer Maria Schießler, a Catholic priest, notices it every day.
The pile of declarations from people leaving the church is growing again on my desk because there's a lack of trust, because preconceptions were confirmed, because people say they always suspected as much, and that it's perfectly obvious that we didn't want to clear things up.
This failure has led to mistrust and resignation among the victims.
I think it's very important for the victims not to keep quiet, not to allow the church to go back to business as usual after these dreadful crimes, physical abuse of innocent children and sexual abuse.
Victims like Miguel Abrantes certainly believe that cases of abuse must continue to be investigated.
Bodo Kirchhoff, a couple of years ago, you wrote an essay in a leading German news magazine, in Spiegel magazine. The first sentence was, "I have been abused." Why did you do that?
Well, I did that at the highest point of this discussion. And the discussion before was for me to abstract to much more to theory, very abstract. And I wanted to fill that with really experience and to try to find a language for that. And that's why I did that. And I found some, from my opinion, very simple, true sentences for this what happened to me.
Let me just interrupt for a second, because it's very interesting what you're saying, because I've quoted the first sentence, which was, "I've been abused." The second sentence was the following: "It's a word that is not much use."
Yeah.
What did you mean with that?
I didn't understand this really good, your question.
You said that the second sentence in the essay that you wrote was, "It is a word, Missbrauch.
Yeah.
That is not much use."
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Why did you say that?
Well, it is... It's part of the theory, you know. It doesn't tell something. Everybody who hears it or reads it think or feels, I know what it means. But this is very subjective.
Yeah.
And to fill that is quite another thing. I think the word Missbrauch is maybe
Missbrauch, abuse.
Abuse is maybe good for lawyers, let's say, or for journalists. But for a writer than me, this word doesn't open a door, but it closes a door. And I like to open it. And when you open the door or the window, you will see that behind the door are quite other things.
In your novel, I've got another line from your novel that when I was reading it, it leapt out at me. Yeah, It had a big impact on me. And the line was, use, Brauch, and abuse, Missbrauch, you said in the novel, are very close together.
That's right. That's right.
It surprised me. Because I thought it was fascinating, but I didn't know what you meant. Yeah.
If you say this is Missbrauch, abuse, then you have the question, what is the use? In the States, in the different states of America, there are different laws. What is the right use of sexuality? What is legal and what is illegal?
I've got you. Yeah.
So terrible. I mean, inside a marriage, how you have it, what is the right way to sleep with your wife, and I think you have to think about the use and the abuse, and then you will see that the border is fluently.
That was the point you were making.
Yeah, the border is fluently. And the other thing is, my own experience is that the abuse was combined with aspects of love. And another experience, experience for me is being a man, a human being. You have the risk that other people will fall in love with you, or will like you, or will have a desire to you, That's an existentially risk you have. And if a woman is beautiful, it's beautiful to her and she may be happy, but there is a risk inside it. The risk that men saw them walking, say, yes, and you can't separate this risk from the fact that you are a beauty or a human being.
Which is what happened when you were a boy. You were an attractive young boy.
Yeah.
Let me just. What happened to you when you were a boy? Did it make you a writer?
It was one of the reasons I became a writer was to try to find a language for sexuality. I had a very early experience of sexuality combined with a sick kind of love, let's say. And I have no words, no language for that. It was for me a kind of miracle. I don't know what it was, what it is. And then a couple of years later, I know that. But it was too late. There was still something, a feeling of missing in me. And so I need to find a language to compensate this, to be able to tell or to write about these early experiences, not in a theoretic way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing some very personal thoughts about a very personal area of your life.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we've mentioned already that Bodo Kirchhoff lives in the German city of Frankfurt. It's Germany's only city that can claim to have anything like a Manhattan-style skyline. And, fittingly, it is Germany's banking and financial capital. But what else does it have to offer? Let's have a look.
Landing at Frankfurt International Airport, one of the 3 most important airline hubs in Europe. Frankfurt is also home to Germany's 7 tallest skyscrapers.
Frankfurt is a tiny town in global terms. With 700,000 residents, you can't really impress the world. But the high-rises make it feel bigger.
There are more than 40 in the city center. At 259 meters, the Commerzbank Tower is the tallest. Frankfurt also has one of the world's major stock exchanges. Many of the skyscrapers are bank headquarters. Amid the towers is the Old Opera House. Frankfurt is nothing if not a city of contrasts. Just a few minutes' walk from the main railway station is Frankfurt's best-known shopping street, Zeil. Nearby is a monument to the city's most famous son and poet, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. When the sun is out, the banks of the River Main are a popular place for a stroll. Numerous museums line the riverbanks. There's been a bridge at this spot since the 13th century. It leads to the Old Town. Several of the historic buildings here were carefully restored or rebuilt after the Second World War. They include the Town Hall, which is over 600 years old. Locals like to gather at this covered market, the Kleinmarkthalle. Here you can find local specialties as well as fine foods from around the world. In no other German city do so many people of so many different nationalities live so close together. The region is also renowned for producing apple wine, which is served in many pubs and restaurants in Frankfurt. Here, the high-rise banking metropolis is very down-to-earth indeed.
Bodo Kirchhoff, is Frankfurt a lovable or an unlovable place?
It has become a lovable place.
Oh, that's good.
It has become. When I first came to Frankfurt in 1970, I guess, I went there because there was the famous literary publishing house, Surkamp, in Frankfurt. Now Surkamp is in Berlin and I'm still in Frankfurt. And at that time, Frankfurt was only was sagt man, Baustelle?
It was a building site.
A building site. Nothing than this. Mm-hmm. And most of the skyscrapers, they were built in the 70s and the 80s. And when this was finished, and when the underground railway was finished, and then became Frankfurt more and more normal city. Mm-hmm. And I have beautiful friends there. I have a very nice apartment looking over the whole city.
That's a great view.
Yeah, and I have the Main River, 100 meters apart. And so I really love it to be there. And the important thing is, my children, they are grown up in Frankfurt. And for them, it's a natural home, you know. They have this natural feeling, I'm at home here.
I can imagine exactly what you're saying.
So the feeling of my kids are my own feeling. Has become my own feeling.
That's the same that has happened with me, because I have kids who were born in Berlin, who've grown up in Berlin, and so Berlin, you know, it's become my home in that way as well.
That's it.
Next time I go to Frankfurt, what is your favourite place in the city?
Oh,
where should I go?
Favorite? Well, it's nice, you know, if you have a warm evening to eat at the opera place, it's nice. And sometimes this street where I live nearby, Schweizer Straße, there are some beautiful restaurants sitting outside in summertime. Mm-hmm. In wintertime, I don't know. In wintertime, you have to.
It's a windy city, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a windy
like Chicago,
city.
Windy city. Yeah.
Between the big houses are always wind, you know.
Yeah.
And but it's nice to walk at the Main River. And in the summer evening, there are hundreds and hundreds of people just looking to the river, looking to the houses. When I came to Frankfurt, nobody would sit at this at the grass there. Nobody. Yeah. There are some roses, and there's the grass, and some banks, and some old people are walking there with their dogs, you know, and. Today, hundreds and hundreds of young people are sitting there drinking beer and hearing music and playing with their phones and looking
and
to the city.
reading novels on Kindles, and saying to each other, "I finished 50% of the novel."
Sometimes I especially go to this place with my bike to see if any of these many people is reading a novel, but maybe some 2 or 3, and then I went home and say, forget it, and go on writing.
Okay.
Keep on writing.
Bodo Kirchhoff, please keep on writing. I enjoyed your last book so much. I'm looking forward to the next one. He's told me already he's writing another one. We'll have to wait and see what it's all about. That's your lot with the frank, thoughtful and eloquent Bodo Kirchhoff. I'm very grateful he's been here today. There's more in my blog on the Talking Germany website, where our shows are also archived. If you've enjoyed today's show as much as I have, then do come back next week. Until then, bye-bye and tschüss.
Thank you.
Thank you.